Right. Hey, welcome back to our Thursday evening soaring weather analysis chat task discussion. We've got some interesting weather that just blew through and some interesting weather on the near-term horizon. And we've also got the Dust Devil Dash coming up in 9 days. And some people are counting the hours and minutes till the dash. But we'll try and cover both of those and see what kind of weather we can look forward to. So, Kempton, take it away.
Thank you, Dan. So can I share screen? Let's do that. All right. Can everyone see my screen? You should be seeing SkySight.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so as always, we take a look both at the local and we also take a look at the macro picture and we take a look at the macro picture far out. So let's take a look, just we'll keep it right now as to the immediate weekend and then we'll expand from there. But basically, most of you, I assume pretty much everyone has SkySight. And for those of you new to the call, we pretty much are focused on Northern California a lot, but we cover as needed by the interest. It could be all the way down to Avenal and even Warner Springs and Visalia for our Visalia pilot there and down the ridge. So I understand Rami and some others are headed up or are at Truckee for the weekend. I think that sounds great. I mean, looking here for today, tomorrow, a little bit of overdevelopment, and the weekend, I mean, it looks not super high, but one of the principles for those of you who are not into, haven't flown cross country as much, to me, is continuity. And there may be other words that other pilots use when they write their books and all. I can't recall, but I don't think they've used that word. But to me, what I look for when I do my long flights is continuity, meaning that the distance between the lift over an extended distance, there's no gaps, or the gaps are something I can manage 5, 10, 20, 30 miles. I obviously a gap over 30, 40 miles is a really big gap, which is why, it favors long wing ships. But the key thing to me for distance is continuity. So if you can find a line or for a triangle of, area to be able to start and then not have any interrupts, through that, whether be they thunderstorms or blue holes or whatnot, that's one of the keys to long distances. Tailwind helps, lack of overdevelopment helps, but to me, the more I fly, the more continuity is a key component. So that right now the continuity looks like it's up and down the Sierras. Saturday, Sunday a little higher, slightly less, and that's great. Don't see any overdevelopment there, but we'll check this with Pivotal in a bit. And Monday still looks the same. So basically, anywhere that you can get access to the Sierra looks really good through the weekend. A little bit of overdevelopment here on Tuesday, but that's past the Labor Day weekend. Any comments or questions so far? Again, this is mostly
Okay, Kevin,
focused on.
your screen seems stuck on Saturday. You were talking about other days, but you just
That's interesting.
No,
I've got Sunday.
oh, there we go.
Yeah, I think it might be on your end. I'm seeing it switching pretty quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Get a new computer, John. Or refresh your cache. So, any other questions though? I mean, let me just poll the group there. Anyone flying other than Truckee, Williams, or Minden?
I'm going out of Minden.
Okay.
I'm gonna fly from Tehachapi.
Okay. All right. I actually had mentioned earlier in here, I'm in Lompoc right now, and uh, there's a STEMI S12 in Santa Barbara, and the owner and his son, I've flown with them in the past, that they're going to go out on Friday, tomorrow, and possibly go up the range here, starting out of Santa Barbara. You can see there's a little development here at the Fraser Lake area. Use that to hop over and go north from there and then come back. I've not flown with the young gentleman there, so I'm not going to throw him, a 8-hour flight to start with. But oh, and Ethan wants to know about Hollister. Thank you, Ethan. Let's take a look at that. So Friday, we've got obviously a little bit of development there in the San Antonio Valley. What's this look like down the range? Eh, some dry thermals, nothing spectacular. 11, 12, nothing huge. That plug of moisture that came through last weekend that caused all the overdevelopment on the Sierras, that's pretty much past. It looks like Hollister, I mean, except for Friday, it looks like it's going to be pretty blue out of Hollister, and even that, it's only going to be in the San Antonio Valley. Yeah, Williams should have some too.
So could we go back to the Truckee Minden?
Sure.
So what I was seeing Friday looked kind of north and OD'd south. So, and I was talking to Rami too. We were looking at north being the good task on Friday. You can see the OD
Yeah.
Renuchiga. But way north looked good on Friday. Not terribly high, but very, very continuous.
Right.
Don't go too far east.
Well, it looks like, you could get started. This is 9:30, and I look for those little
Yeah.
gray stuff. So let's just, and I mean, if anyone disagrees with this statement, please say something. But it seems that so far, and I don't have the history to say it beyond this year, but SkySight seems to have been undercalling the Q a lot on the Sierras. Was that like that in previous years? I don't recall.
So Kemp, this is Pete. Matthew changed the whole algorithm for queues and forecasting last fall. So
Okay.
that's why it's probably different. When I talked to him in last fall at the convention, he said they kind of tweaked it to do a better job with mountains. He says, I hope it's better, but no guarantees, let him know.
Sure.
So I
Okay.
think it is a little better for Williams and Montague. So compared to previous years.
It looks better to me and the Sierras as well. I think it was pretty much right on this season. The Q forecast.
I would say that for Minden area, certainly over the pine nuts, it underestimates the amount of Q that's going to develop.
Yes, and Doug, it's slightly calls the overdevelopment also based on those my few flights this season in the Great Basin.
And that makes sense because it's keying off of general air mass properties with a fairly coarse
Sure.
terrain. So if you have a big sharp peak, it doesn't know about that, and that's going to cause a stronger thermal than. So Friday looked straight north out of Truckee Minden looked like the fun task for Friday, and I was just wanted to see what you guys thought about that.
Right.
And
And
then
so I was
Saturday,
looking
Sunday.
I was looking here at like how
Starting
early
way
can I
early.
go? How early can I go for a queue? And it basically shows 10 o'clock tomorrow that there should be, at least some shreds starting. So
Yep.
let's pop through the day. Yeah, got some good blossoming, got some OD. So let's just say we turn around 3 o'clock. Oh, that's nicely blossomed there. Yep. Good stuff up there. It's a little bit of overdevelopment to the east. Let's go to, so usually, my turnaround time when I'm kind of open-ended is anywhere from quarter to 3 to 3:30. So, things are looking really nice there. And then, of course, trying to get back into Truckee by this time. Let's just go to, say, 6 o'clock. No, that's just a decent line there. What are the winds like? So what is this? 13,000? Yeah, let's do 13. Nice. Yeah, basically nothing. I mean, to me, out here, it's not well organized and it's light. So great. Maybe if you're over here in North Shasta, it's more organized, but basically just don't go that far. So yeah, I would agree with that. Go to the north. Looks like you could easily go up to the Goose Lake area. There's pretty good continuity all the way. And was it 6:30? Slight overdevelopment. And so no wind. And because it's a relatively low bug area, you should be able to have a good 60 nautical mile final glide back or so. So you could be out here and still make it back.
Yeah.
What are you
And
flying, John?
I'm flying out of Truckee.
No, I mean,
Just got.
what hardware?
Oh, I'm going to fly the 31.
Okay.
The Beast is in Minden. So Saturday looked to me more problematic because it looked
Take a look at
lower and only go down south where the mountains are bigger. Are we done with Friday? We
No,
haven't,
now we're on Saturday.
and we're not seeing any OD on Friday that I noticed, but that's
Well,
always
to the east and a little bit on
the east,
Mountain
yeah.
Pass. But like I said, my experience, my little experience has shown that it undercalls it a bit. So 10:30, there's some gray shreds on the ridge line. So yeah, Saturday looks to be a later start, and maybe you go south on Saturday because I don't believe it's going to overdevelop. Yeah. So Friday north, Saturday south. That's kind
Well,
of what.
look at those cloud bases are not extraordinarily high for being deep into the Sierra.
No, but I guess to me, back to the whole continuity idea. So long as you can just keep stringing this together, and how are the winds? Oh, again, winds nothing. So to me, it's one of those things where if you are comfortable being on the west side, keeping your outs either to the west or to the east, that's fine. I'm getting more comfortable with that. Having flown out from this to the west, you have to watch it that especially up here, the distance to get out to the lowland, it's really far up when you're up here. So that would lead you to stick more on the ridge line. And then as you go south, basically the mountains get higher, but the distance out to the valley gets shorter.
What's the basis altitude you see there?
Oh, I've got 13 to 14.
Yeah, I mean, down south, that's basically right
Yeah,
top
so
of the
basically,
mountains, right?
exactly. And so that's basically
14.
we would hop over to the whites probably at that point and come back to keep your margins, safety
Yeah.
margins good. Yeah, I could see, once you get to Bishop, if it stays at 13, that's too tight there. So yeah,
That's
I can see Truckee south to Bishop,
I
and by
agree.
this time, when you get back up north, let's go back up to say 5:30. You could go past Truckee, get some extra distance up to Harelong, and then come back. So maybe that's the trick. Go south, to about Bishop or so,
yeah.
uh, Big Pine, Bishop kind of thing, and then come back and get some extra mileage up here.
So Sunday looked nice. Saturday looked nice, but not epic. But
Right.
Sunday and Monday start looking epic again.
Okay, so Sunday, yeah, we're looking at 15 bases, possibly 15 out here, 16 if you go pretty far east.
Yeah.
When does it start? Yeah, it doesn't start till late. Right. But I'm not averse to blue thermals. So for those of you who are okay with that, so here it is. This is 10:30. Let's just say you take a 10:30 tow and then you flat glide over to the Pine Nuts by 11. You could scrape along there, 10, 11. It wouldn't be great, but you could stick with it. Okay, go back to the queue. And then you start seeing small stuff pop. To me, when you start seeing small stuff pop like that, then you know that mountains of a similar height around here, they're gonna be all right. So
And what excited me about Sunday is it looked nicely connected to go into Nevada, up towards Austin. You mentioned the big blue
yeah,
hole
Austin around here.
from the top of the Whites. From the top of the Whites, you can connect to that beautiful cloud field to the east of the restricted area.
Right. So let's just take a look around
To me,
noon.
like a great one of those V flight days. But
Yeah, it looks very much, yeah. So following that logic, then you basically work your way down the Sierra Spine, to maybe Mammoth-ish, Bishop-ish, maybe a little further, hop to the Whites. By that time, it's around 1:30, 1 o'clock, and there'll be enough queue out there to get you into the monitors, Tokimas, Tayabes.
right, or go to Tonopah and up that way first.
Yeah. And then you turn around, say, out here at 4 o'clock. Yeah, still looking all right. How big are they?
And not much wind to come home.
Yeah, that's always nice. Let's take a look at that. It's 13,000. Eh, 10 knot south flow, but at least it's not against you.
Yeah, there's no Zephyr. So for those of us
Yeah.
coming back to Truckee,
So
about
you're
20 miles.
so back into Truckee, because obviously Minden would be much easier. So let's just say you're at 530 or so on the Pine Nuts, 15,000.
That's great.
You can do that. What are the winds like at that? 16.
So Rami, the Sunday was looking to me like the epic triangle day, but I'm curious what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I agree. I think Sunday is a triangle, yeah. If you can go far enough south for a long out and return, then might as well make it a triangle.
I'd agree with that. I mean, yeah, I mean, early enough start. And it's not like there's a strong wind coming in um, late in the day. Let's take a look at 6 o'clock.
So Kemp,
Yes, Pete.
um, there's a pretty strong low that's going to form up in Oregon and Washington. If you go turn the winds up to 13,800 feet and turn streams on Sunday at 5, it's pretty interesting wind flow. It doesn't really affect Minden or the Sierra, but on the wind things, you have barbs go to streams, then go wind altitude right below it to 13.8. Sunday
Yeah,
at
it's going up the valley.
Yeah, it's actually pretty strong. Um, it's interesting because it's parallel right up the Sierras, and it goes away in the morning. But I've never seen a flow like this for this time of year.
What
It's
what
all
is
southerly.
so the reason I like barbs, it gives me velocity.
Well, I got
Oh, 30
somehow
knots.
yeah, I turned color on, and I got colors showing up to 30 knots wind. It's all colored, so I don't know how I did that. Um,
Well, so on that note, so let's
There is a low coming in.
so this picture was taken. So David Maruzi and I flew from Visalia to north of Elko and back to Bishop for about 722 miles last Friday. And then we landed at Bishop and then took off from there uh, like 10:30 on Saturday morning, and this is what it looked like getting out of Bishop. And so I'm illustrating this guy. I'm going to get back to your wave to the wind comment there, Pete. So we had to get out of there, and if you've ever self-launched out of Bishop, I mean, it feels like you're climbing hand over hand getting up the ridge line. But with the assist of thermals, we got up there no problem. Went down the east side, and that's Bishop as we're climbing out. Whoops, we're going backwards. Just heading down the whites. The east side, the Sierras are blown out. I'm going to skip here. The point of this is we got up to air sailing, and this is what it looked like at air sailing. So you have these large, strong cells here. We're looking directly west. You can see by the lean of these clouds, there's a south wind. And so we got past this is also directly west of air sailing. This cell was dumping very strongly, and you can see the dust blow off. And right behind me, from where this picture was taken, there was another cell. So we're between these cells, and there's this nice smooth 5, 6, 7, 8 knots up. All we want to do is just get out here to uh, north of Sierraville, that valley, because all we're doing is just trying to go back to Williams. So once we get on Final Glide, let me just pop here a bit. This is what we're looking at, heading towards, those are the Sierra Buttes right here. Um, and we get out there for the last climb. Come on. And we're headed toward Williams, and we had like a 15 knots southerly wind, and these Lennies have been around all day, and we're paralleling 80, and we're in, as you can see here, 1.7 to 2 knots. And so we went from a 39 to 1 glide of Williams to 32 to 1, just going along this, and I aimed to get along the front side of this Lenny, and it was great. I mean, nothing that you go really anywhere, but the point is that there is wave along the ravines that come off the Sierras. This is only the third time I've flown wave in this condition. My first time was like 18 years ago, coming back from another Sierra flight. But the point is that if you have reason to be out there, as Pete points out, along here, there highly likely will be wave, and because it looks like it's moist enough, you might see some lennies. So,
I don't think so, because it's blowing right up the valley. It's amazingly southerly.
right, that's my point. But it's going across these ridges. In other words, if you're going from Truckee to Williams, that's what we're
That's what you're saying. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, it's these ravines that are causing the wave.
Yeah, I mean, it's blowing up to 30. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and yeah, 13,000 feet.
Yep.
So let's switch to the big picture now. So that's Sunday. So that's what, 96 hours? Wait, what am I doing? 102? Sorry. There we go. Now, when was this forecast done? This was done this morning at 10 o'clock. So I don't think it reflects this one, but it's just showing the same thing. This is the low that you're talking about, Pete. Let's take a look at the bigger picture. That one.
Yeah, it's that one. And it's actually there's a little weak front ahead of it right now, which it's going to influence Montague and Williams. I think as long as you don't go too far north out of Montague, I mean, Minden or Truckee, you're okay, but it's pretty strong for this time of year.
It is, and when we get to the Dust Devil Dash stuff, that there's also an unusual event there. So, any other questions for this weekend?
Monday?
Monday.
You're doomed.
Yeah, southerly flow over Nevada. I mean, nothing huge. I mean, very soarable though. So, but almost let's go back to 2 o'clock and when does this start? About 11.
Oops, another epic day.
Yeah, a little late starting, but I mean, you could still, work it from Truckee or Minden and head south. So basically, so it seems like Sunday and Monday are somewhat similar in that 15, 16,000, maybe not as much moisture around Tonopah, but close enough. How late is this? So if you're coming back into Truckee at say 6 o'clock, yeah, well, a little bit of headwind. Wait, what is that? 13? It's 13. Okay, Monday looks a little less, both from a wind and a Q coverage than Sunday. But I mean, if you're up there and you want to do it, it looks quite soarable. Okay. Any other questions for this coming weekend? Nope. Okay. So let's go to the bigger picture for the following weekend. So this is the weekend of the Dust Devil Dash. That's Saturday, September 5th. So what got me interested, so I'm in Lompoc right now. The ship is up at Williams. It still has a little bit more work, but at least it's back flying. However, I was not planning on flying the Dust Devil Dash until I saw this.
Ooh.
Okay, so this is Sunday, this is Saturday, okay? I'm going to zoom back into just the western area. So it may not be as obvious, but let me just paint this in. So this
A
low,
way to expand the window within your screen, because by the time you've got smaller and smaller windows,
Okay.
it's getting kind of difficult.
how's that? That
Much
better?
better.
Okay,
Yes, thank
good.
you.
I'll do that from now. Just remind me to do that. So on Friday, this cutoff low showed up. And I went through all the previous runs and there was nothing to hint at this. And all of a sudden it just showed up in this morning's run. And this is a pretty strong cutoff low. Now it could disappear in the next run. So who knows? But the point is I go, let's take a look at this. So we look at the 500 millibar, could be some stuff along the Sierras here. But knowing this time of year, it's not super hot. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe we're only going to be seeing like 14,000 foot cloud bases or so, which basically means at the Sierra ridgeline. But look at this. If we launch Tehachapi's down here, approximately, if you're comfortable with it, you could take off and just go along the Sierra foothills, and you would have a tailwind up to maybe 15 knots, which could put you almost all the way up into the Trinity Alps, Siskiyou area. Now, of course, nothing is free. So let's just see where are we in the rain department? Oh, got lots of rain. So you'd be along, but this looks very much like last Saturday. And last Saturday, if we go to a picture of that. So this is what it looked like when we were near at the north end of the Sierra. What's Sierraville Valley called up there? I can't remember the name of that valley. Um, but anyway, so we're at the north end of it, and you look south, and it was great. So long as you're on the west side of the range. And was it Mike Charlie 1, Dave Prather? He was I can't recall if he was flying a power plane or glider, but he said, "Oh yeah, on the west side of the Sierra, it looks great all the way down to, Visalia." And so the point is that this setup, this is the kind of thing it looks like if this forecast holds like this, it could be running along the west side of the Sierra like this.
So Dust Devil Dash up the Sierra foothills. Never been done before. That sounds fantastic.
Well, and the thing to me, again, back to the whole thing about continuity, I look at this and I go, yeah, there's going to be a lot of continuity along here. You may only be 13, 14,000 feet, but you're going to be, fairly far west of the range. And, if you're okay with that, to be able to, bail out to the west if you have to. But to me, having the tailwind, I go, okay, I can see continuity here and I can see a tailwind. Okay, so between those two things, Tehachapi to Siskiyou Airport is about 520 miles. Okay, that's pretty good for a Dust Devil Dash. So, and then okay, if you let's just stretch our imagination a little further. I go, okay, if I get up to here, and then this gray area of rain is the Trinities. Well, let's just go to the south of that. You know, I could hit Crescent City. And I think Rami, Eureka is where you landed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Eureka. Well, Eureka's down here. I wouldn't get as much mileage for that. But Crescent City is right at that tip there. I thought that'd be so cool. They got a 100-foot wide runway at least. So that meets my criteria. Anyway, so that's a bit of a fantasy flight, but I thought, this sounds interesting. So that is the current outlook. Again, this is 9 days out, so things can change. But just oh wait, sorry, this is Saturday. Let's go. It's just very similar for sorry, that was Friday. This is Saturday. Okay, similar. This is pardon me, the previous one was Friday. This actually to me looks better, right? You're just running up along the range. It's not huge, but it's enough to keep you, on your toes. Come out here east of Reading and then out this way. Now, you could go on the Dust Devil Ash up the usual way, which many people go up the Inyos and Whites and then go through here, so go directly north. I believe the winds, though, for Cirrus, yeah, that area has a lot more Cirrus forecast for it. So just, be aware of that. So anyway, that's, again, it's 9 days out and we'll just have to watch how things go. But to me, it's intriguing. Michael, you're on the call?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good. It's because Michael will be my co-pilot if we do this. So anyway, that's the current look. Again, this cutoff low just showed up in the forecast and it looks to go through very quickly. So it showed up originally for Friday, right there. centered off of Big Sur area, Carmel, Monterey Bay, but it quickly moves inland and dissipates, and I believe is gone by Sunday. Yeah. So again, small feature. Those of you who've known me for a while know that, cutoff lows, they're erratic. They are a small terrorist organization, and so they'll cause random things to happen in different places. So we'll just watch this and see if this sticks. Comments or questions?
Yeah,
So
we've
Chris
got one
Stevens says,
question on the chat.
yeah, I see. Chris Stevens says not familiar with pivotal weather. What are your favorite intel of pivotal weather? So, see, Chris, the reason I use this is because pretty much all of the tools only go out 6 days. SkySight goes out 6 days. So, obviously, the further out you go, the less reliable things are. So, here we are looking at 9 days, and I'm going, okay, something to be aware of. Again, it may completely change. It's the weather.
Right.
But enough that I've had enough successes of looking far enough out to say, this looks interesting. Let's keep track of this. And just like this Dust Devil Dash for me is a perfect example. I wasn't interested in doing it, and then this shows up, and I could go, well, if that sticks, I could do this. It'd be different. So.
Okay.
But you have to become your own soaring meteorologist, meaning like, okay, for example, 300 millibars. Why am I interested in this? Because that's usually where cirrus is. This is my cirrus indicator. Okay.
Okay.
And 500 millibars, because that's usually that's what you look at for cumulus in the Great Basin and along the Sierras. And I look at 700 millibars for the foothills and the coast ranges, the Mendocinos and things like that. So again, you have to kind of know what you're, looking for. If I'm looking for ground heating, I look at the 925 millibar. Tells me, how hot or not things are. And then to me, the ultimate arbiter of whether you get overdevelopment or not is rain. And so that's why I look at the rain going, okay. So this is odd. Okay. And again, all this is showing you the raw data. So it doesn't give you a lot. You can click on things and do soundings and all, but it still doesn't explain everything. For example, okay, so we can look at this and we say, oh, it's going to overdevelop along the Sierra Range, the ridgeline of the Sierra. Okay, obvious. But if I go to the moisture, 500 millibars, there's nothing. Now, how can you have no moisture and rain? Okay, so that one I can't explain. I move my cursor along this 17%, 16%, but it says rain. So hey, look, I'm not a professional meteorologist. I just, act like one. And there's not enough moisture in the 700 millibar to explain that either. So that is one of those things I go, I don't know. It says rain. I'm assuming that there's something in the computation for rain calculations that it's raining, even though there's no evidence of enough moisture. It's stuff like that, and obviously SkySight and other systems, pull all that together. So the point is we use Pivotal as to identify suspects, but we use our other tools, the RASP and SkySight and all to actually get to identify ones we're going to bring in to the police station.
Got it. Thanks, Captain.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, more or less. I mean, it's models that have all kinds of different parameters.
Right. I mean, to me, this is like, trying to forecast what's going to happen in the economy and the stock market by looking at it. You're just looking at a few data points. You say, well, I think we have a recession, but,
Right. Yep.
I don't really know because it's further out and I'm just looking at points.
Sure.
Well, I also like listening to Kempton because you get the why. The SkySight tells you what's going to happen, but it's nice to know the story of why.
Well, thank you, John. And the other reason I like to look at SkySight, and this was highlighted by Rami. Okay, so, one time Rami got caught by Cirrus, and he said, but there was nothing on SkySight, but it was on Pivotal, which is odd because SkySight is based on the European model, which is mostly what I look at. So let's just see if we can find a example of that. High level cloud cover. This is Saturday, a little bit over the coast range. And let's take a look at this. 300 millibar, Saturday, what's that? 60 hours. Okay, so that correlates. And maybe there'll be a little bit from overdevelopment. Yeah, nothing great. Let's take a look at. Okay, so like there's a band down here. Whoops. Let's see if that band shows up in central.
Yeah, make your window big again.
Okay, so this is showing up also. Okay, well, I don't have an example for that, but if you've been on our previous calls, we have highlighted examples where SkySight did not show Cirrus, but Pivotal did. And who knows, you know, I'm just highlighting that, like a lot of things in life, if you have multiple tools to look at things, for example, the Cirrus may not happen, but at least you're aware of it, aware of the possibility for it. Other thoughts, questions?
I had one.
So if a
Professor,
cutoff,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to ask if the cutoff flow does not materialize, generally speaking, Captain, what do you see anything interesting for next weekend for the Dust Devil Dash as far as the
Right.
weather?
So the question, Rami's question was, if the cutoff low does not appear, then what? Well, then to me, that my off the cuff answer to that would be, well, let's take a look at the previous run where there was no cutoff low. So let's take a look at that. This is the Zero Zulu run, European model. Go to, what was that, about 220? What is that, 240? Okay, so the previous run had no cutoff low. In fact, it kind of looks like there's a weak high out here and no cirrus. Let's go down in moisture levels. It looks like pretty dry, and it looks like clearly the standard route up the Sierras and then Whites, Inyos, and maybe something in heading directly north. And lower than that, yeah. So basically westerly flow, which is pretty typical, right? And the moisture just along this.
Enough moisture for Q, or you expect it to be?
I would say, I'm just hovering over this, 60, 70%. I couldn't tell you if that would be how early that would be, because this is the 10 o'clock and this is the 4 o'clock. So under this set of data, it'd probably be very late starting Q. And what you would get would be, let me just click on this and see what we get. Yeah, a bit of a kink in the temperature here, maybe 17,000. I don't know why Pivotal doesn't give me, these nice dashed lines to show me where the cloud base might be. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I still haven't figured that out yet. Anyway, so those right now are the two scenarios, would be the usual straight up the Sierras, hop to the Whites, keep going north to Austin, kind of thing, or along the Sierras and possibly head to Reading.
Yeah, I'm more interested in the second scenario. That sounds cool. If that's
Yeah, no, I think that would be really way cool, so long as there's continuity. And to me, like I say, if it looks like that, I mean, when I say that, meaning this part over here, I can go for that. That's nice, The wind's being pushed, takes all that nice Central Valley air, shoves up the foothills, shoves it up into the Sierra clouds, and you just kind of mosey along at 70 to 75 knots with a tailwind.
You do worry about lightning, just for people who haven't done this.
Well, it's funny you mention that because, when I'm bored, I start clicking around on other things, like, where is that? Where's the lightning? 6 hour lightning flash density. Okay,
That's
so
an interesting
a
parameter.
little bit here, not too bad.
Oh, wow. Interesting. There's a lot of stuff in there.
There is. I mean, now how much of it, like I said, the fact that it shows rain, but it shows no moisture, like what's up with that? So yeah. Other thoughts or questions? All right,
I think
over to you,
that's real
Ken.
interesting, Captain. Thanks for sharing. And I'd like to see some crazy long Dust Devil Dash runs up to Siskiyou and onto the
That
coast. That would be awesome.
so okay, so just thinking ahead, so entertain me then for one more moment. Then I go, okay, what happens if I land out of Crescent City? Isn't it kind of foggy out there? Okay, so yeah, 925. It's got that. How about surface precipitation? 2 meter relative humidity. I mean, basically that's on the ground. So I'd be out here. Let's hold the cursor over that. 89%. Yeah, I could get stuck out there in the fog. So just something to be aware of.
Actually, Kemp, I think you want to just go northwest out of Montague, Siskiyou.
Right. I would much rather, go up into Montague, but that means I might have to dodge some rain.
Yeah, I think you'll be okay. Not too far west.
Yeah, but
But
it looks pretty clear right now. So,
yeah, one high glide, then glide
oh,
into
so-
the abyss.
wait, sorry. This was the old run.
Uh,
Let's look at the current. Okay, this is what I was expecting. Yeah.
but
So,
nobody's gone to Oregon out of the Dust Devil Dash.
oh yeah, no, people have landed at Lakeview.
That's not Oregon,
Well,
Here's Oregon.
a
is it?
mile over the border.
All
I
right,
landed there once.
I want serious Oregon.
Oh, well, okay, but then all right, then there's serious
You mean like Bend, right?
Yeah, that's too serious. But at least in the past Ashland, I mean, who knows? Because the foothills that go to the northwest, they're not foothills. The northwest across the border from Ashland can be really good late. So
right. Well, if you can get by the sentinels here blocking the way, then yeah. So,
yeah, I just don't think going, also your geometry is better going more north. So um anyway, that's what I think you should do.
well, like I said, this is intriguing to me so long as the setup holds, again, we'll see. Like many of you, I'm at the mercy of the weather.
Actually, Medford. There you go. Your goal should be Medford.
Well, I did look at that because Medford has a 150-foot wide runway, and I like wide runways.
I was
So
thinking of
yes,
you.
pretty much my only choices up there are Siskiyou, Medford, or Crescent City.
What about Ashland?
Ashland's only 75 feet
Uh,
wide.
nah, yeah. There you go. That's what I was thinking Medford, because that would be serious Oregon.
Yeah, I like regional airports. Every regional airport I've been to, they're very nice people. They're kind of bored, and so 'cause not a lot's happening there.
Kind of
Okay, so in case you all didn't know, did you know that Bishop now gets regular United Airlines service?
Yep.
And so because of that, then they've marked off all the good news, they got the runways, 2 out of 3 runways resurfaced, and they're wonderful. New lighting, all that. The bad news is, you know, the guys there, they're kind of bored. So, I taxi in and David's out, holding my wing and they all come running out kind of like, oh, don't get into the red zone. So we had to have one of them walk the wing and all that stuff. And they were very nice, but they kind of didn't know how to handle us at first.
So you should tell people about what the red zone means.
Oh, so it says these red, if you I don't know if it show up on a, satellite picture, but the ship airport.
The red zone of death.
It's basically telling you where you can't be. Okay, yes. Oh, good. That's here. So this is satellite view of the airport. If you can see these red, it's actually not terribly clear on this, but the dash lines here, You cannot be, it's a TSA clear area, okay? So that means you can't have any part of your aircraft in there, nor a non-TSA person. So when I came in off of this taxiway, the TSA, one of the airport guys had to hold my wing as I taxied with my wheel over here and came around here because I parked over here. So
Any trouble getting out the next day with the airport?
no, it's just the same thing. I mean, we said, hey, look, we're going to go around 10:30. Is it okay if, David walks the wing? And they said, well, yeah. So again, so long as he stays outside of this. So I basically put my wheel on the edge here, came down to here. And then once we got past this, then, we were fine. Because these taxiways are exactly 50 feet wide. And so 47 feet wide, 46 feet wide. And so my wingtip is 44 feet out. So, I just go slowly and don't run off the taxiway. And we were fine. Oh, the other thing, if you land at Bishop, there's no Uber. There's no Lyft and there's no Uber. However, if you dial a ride, which is called the Regional Transit Authority, I think, they are based right here in this building, and they will come pick you up or take you to your hotel anywhere in Bishop for $5. It's great. Because we
Wow.
tried Uber and they wouldn't, nothing. It says, well, there's none available right now. That's because nobody does it in Bishop. But call the number. We were at the Elm Motel over here, and they came in a flash. Yeah, this is the hotel area here. We were in these hotels. Boom, 5 minutes, he was over there. It was awesome.
I'm
So,
not familiar with dial-a-ride. Is it like everywhere, or they're just very
well,
specific?
it's a county service. Um, Regional transit, basically just type in, Bishop taxi or Bishop ride. It's like one of the first three.
I think Truckee has it too.
Yeah, they
Uh,
might.
Truckee also has a problem of very scant Uber coverage,
Right.
but
So
we have friends at
Eastern
Truckee.
Sierra Transit, fellas. Eastern Sierra Transit.
thank you, Cindy. Eastern Sierra.
Cindy, thank you.
It was great. So, I mean, we could have walked it. It would be a mile and a half, but it was getting hot fast. So anyway, um, oh, sorry. I do have one last thing, and thank you, Cindy, for being on this. So let me bring up this. So when we were trying to get back to our start at west of Visalia, so we're in the valley east of the Inyos, Dyer and Circle L, if you're familiar with that area. So let's bring this up here. Okay, so I'm using Navigator on my phone, and you can see here I'm coming down here, and the good news is we got some lift off of the August front, so it was great. But then I'm coming up here to south because I'm thinking maybe I go like this way over here, but the deck on top of the Sierra was just a little too low for us to get to. But then my Navigator starts giving me alerts saying, "Oh, you're about to enter this restricted area." I'm going, "Restricted area? There is no restricted area here. That's down here." I'm thinking, did something change while I come on, go back? Did something change while I wasn't watching? And it turns out, come on, probably those of you who are spend more time in the Sierras know this, but there is a restricted area there, but it's at 20,000 feet and above. And so that wasn't clear until later I looked at it because I'm looking at that going, what? So just FYI, because since a lot of people, if you do the Dust Devil Dash, you'll be going up this way, you might get that alert on your flight computers. If I thought I was familiar with the area, the real restricted area in our altitude levels is down here, but this RA and it says 20,000 feet MSL up from there. But the way it came up on my screen, it looks at first I looked at it and goes, what? I don't remember this being here. So just FYI. I mean, it's an MOA for us up to 18,000 feet.
In disable, I think in LX, getting alerts for restricted for anything above 18,000 feet.
There's always more to learn on our software.
Yeah.
All right, now I'm done. Dan, any closing comments?
Nothing. Thank you very much, Kemp. This is a good discussion.
Hampton, quick question for me. Becker Echo's up at Williams, is that right now?